You know Thomas Sowell's treatise on redlining?
I don't.
Yeah, you should read it.
What does it say? Are you able to tell me?
Yeah, it's actually right here. You know that whites were turned down for mortgages more than Asians?
I'm unclear what relevance
because
that has to
it wasn't racially based. The redlining myth, according to Thomas Sowell, which I'm sure you believe in, says, quote, nor did either the mainstream media or political leaders ever mention the fact that black-owned banks turned down black mortgage loan applicants at least as often as white-owned banks did. Why were blacks turning down their own people?
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm talking
Obviously,
about it.
you don't, because this is the
Charlie, I would like to be very specific here. So I'm talking about the GI Bill. Back
no, you're talking about redlining, right? So this is redlining.
No, this is connected to redlining.
No, which one do you want to talk about, GI Bill or redlining?
If you allow me to explain, this is connected to redlining.
Okay.
I guess you don't understand that, but I'm happy to explain it to you right now if you just let me get this out. I promise you it'll be worth the effort. The GI Bill gave low-interest loans to people who had served in the war, right? And those loans were issued they were federally backed loans. So the banks would issue to people at a low interest rate so that they could buy homes and generate what we now understand to be the basis of middle-class wealth in this country. What ended up happening was the process of redlining was that banks said, oh, we're only going to issue loans for you to buy in certain neighborhoods.
Right, black banks.
All banks.
Right, so why did banks do that?
The overwhelming majority of issuers in this country...
No, you got to answer the question. Why did black banks do that?
I will answer your question. The overwhelming majority of issuers were white-owned banks. And those banks redlined communities where they said, we will not issue to people who live in these communities. Now, what ended up happening, what that meant for black people, was because of what's called a restrictive covenant, which meant that in the law, in the covenant that attached to the land for a lease, many of them precluded black people from buying in those neighborhoods. So basically what happened was banks would only lend to people and give those low interest loans to people who were allowed to live in white neighborhoods.
Blacks were discriminating against themselves and whites were being discriminated more than Asian Americans.
This is what's so fascinating.
No, let me answer this question. Why was
did you want me to answer your question about
well,
black
you're not. You're dodging and you're dancing.
No, I'm happy to.
Very bluntly.
Let the record reflect that I'm happy to answer your question about black. My point is that
answer the question.
Before we started this conversation, Charlie, you assured me that it would not be pugilistic.
It's not. I'm asking you to answer a question, and you're not doing that.
The question is, how many black banks are in America at the time issuing those kinds of loans? Charlie, at the end of the day, answer my question to you, which came first.
It's probably a low percentage, but Thomas Sowell's scholarship, which is a lot more extensive than yours,
that's a logical fallacy.
Says this.
If Thomas Sowell wants to have a debate with me, I'd be happy to do that. But I think that we two here can sit here as people with the ability to reason.
No, I agree, but I'm going to trust Sowell more than you. I'm sorry. It's like because he actually lived through this.
Well, why did you ask me here if you weren't interested in me explaining to you
I would think
my perspective on the world?